Alright guys, what's up? Worst Duelists. So we're taking a look at Yellow Vegeta today. So with this deck, right? This is how I got my Nats invite. This is the deck that's taking me to Nats, in the next coming months. So the deck that is, got me in at least. So I do have a bit of a soft spot for this leader, but and obviously we had some players have some success with it at Bandai Cards Fest. Which, congratulations to those guys. And that was also the pre-FB07 format as well. Now, I kind of want to just start the profile with saying, like, I do like this deck, but with the changes, I think, from the new set, this deck just becomes not only, like, super powerful, but, like, kind of just incredibly ignorant. So, I mean, with that being said, we can kind of just talk about the deck list. There's only one new card, right? We only got one new card. In FB07, and as most people probably know, the card is really powerful, so we'll kind of just cross the bridge when we get there and go through sort of, how I built it and the approach that I've taken it into, what is likely going to be the Piccolo Boost Cell meta. So, anyway, we got the front, which is one attacking draw, life set 4 flip. The back side, most people know, when you attack a draw card, end of your turn, you just untap 2 of your rest mode energy. So, yeah, really powerful. Really strong effect, and obviously allows you to play like a really defensive game plan. So, starting off the list is going to be, very standard. We have 4 Bulmas. I mean, this just allows you to use and abuse all of your 1-cost extras and the new card, which is admittedly kind of a problem. So, I mean, yeah, she's really powerful. You definitely want to play for that. Because you're going to need to see her eventually, and you want to see realistically all 4 copies throughout the course of the game, so you can abuse her. Yeah, 4 cantrips, not really a ton to say here. You do play this guy because we're playing the Bobbity stuff, so same thing with this. I think just 4 of this is fine. You could probably play 2 Frieza. You could play the full 8, but I don't think you need to do that. So I'm just playing these because you can untap them with the 2-cost Bobbity. Now, I thought this package was pretty mid. Through most of SB01. So I do have to concede that this package, the Bobbity into Fat Boo package, is really strong in this deck specifically. So most people already know what this does. This guy's got barrier, this guy's got barrier. End of your turn, you can choose 1 battle card with Wicked Solar Majin, restand it and give it blocker. So you get a barrier blocker. If this guy's KO'd, which obviously he'll be a blocker, so you can kind of force that interaction if you want. You pitch a card, you play him rested. So yeah, this is really strong specifically in this deck, mostly because of the, the whole game plan of the leader is wanting to go really far into the late game. So naturally, walling up early, taking early lives, even going to like 2 or 3 is totally fine for this guy, because you're pretty much always going to be guaranteed at least 1 barrier blocker, because they're not going to be able to remove these unless maybe like you're playing Android 18 and she has Bleak Future. But yeah, this is really strong in this deck specifically, but again, I feel like most people probably have already come to that consensus. So one of the new cards that I did add to this deck is going to be for this. I have no idea why this card's not leader locked. So we'll just kind of go over this guy. I talked about it in my Frieza profile, but on play you take a life, you can put a life back. So what this means is you can play this guy, you can pick up a life when you're at 4 and cycle a 0, so you can get that 0 out of your hand until later. Like if you're sitting on like a barrier Frieza and you don't need it right now and you want to play on like 5 or 6 energy or 6 or 7 energy, you can just put it in life, and then whenever it's time for you to play this and they swing face, you just take it. So you swap zeros out. So that's insane. And when you play this, you untap an energy. So this is a 3-cost, and it freezes when you attack. Anything. Freezes anything. So I feel like I'm not playing Janemba anymore, right? Because we're already moving on to the 4 costs. I feel like this is kind of just better. Because this is going to be a freeze. It's a 3-drop and untaps an energy, which means you can technically have 3 energy open at the end of your turn. So yeah, I feel like this is kind of an auto-include, and it is still a Life Taker 5k and 25 swing. There probably is an argument to find room for Janemba somewhere, but I couldn't find room in the deck. So 3 Freeze Coups. This is a tried and true card. Honestly, this is a Yellow Vegeta card. This was for the deck, but he's 10k combo, staple card. So you could probably find room for a 4th, but I just really went heavy on the back end on the extras. So, and you'll kind of see why. 2 of this, you could probably play 3, but like I feel like you kind of don't need this that much anymore, because you just kind of like stick with this guy, and then you restand him every turn, and then you apply pressure with like meta coolers and stuff. This guy, the problem with this guy, he's just a little bit slow, but like by the time you do get him out, you can get that 30 poke, and you're just threatening this guy every turn to get that 2 cards or a super against most decks, right? So yeah, Frieza, not bad, but also just not as good as it used to be because our format is a little bit faster than it used to be. So, and there's just kind of honestly better things to be doing, like meta cooler freezing. I'm trying just one of this. I think this card is just kind of strong because, like in this deck specifically, I think this card's kind of strong because you freeze a guy and you freeze the energy when you go to 5, and then you untap 2, so you only pay 3 for this, and you get another blocker. It's not a barrier blocker, but again, it's kind of like an experimental card. I'm just playing one. You could probably cut it for this. And yeah, that's that. So if you noticed, there is no boss card. That's the end of the battle cards. Just got 4 super combos here. Now, you used to play, 1 to 2 Golden Frieza in this deck as kind of your top end to lock out, some decks. But realistically, because we got the new extra from FB07, which I suppose we'll just talk about now, it's kind of a bit of the elephant in the room with this deck. I feel like you probably don't really need it anymore. So what this card is, this is and don't dream of resurrecting again. So obviously a very iconic scene from the movie, but this card is very toxic. So activate battle, opponent's turn only. If your leader is this guy, your cards that are in a battle get 10k. Then your opponent cannot attack with battle cards cost 5 or higher for the turn. So the thing about this card is very strong, right? This is a really oppressive effect, and you can recycle it with Bulma. It is only a 10k though, right? So you're losing a bit in the ways of the defensive combo power, but oftentimes what I was doing with this card, I played a number of games into Piccolo Superhero, because obviously that's like going to be the main, that's going to be like the main matchup where this shines. Obviously this is good into most decks because a lot of decks are eventually going to go into top end. And then you'll be able to stop them from trying to kill you with double strikers or whatever. But it can be played around, right? Because it's for the rest of the turn. So they can just swing high first, and then this kind of becomes less good. But the reason why this card is a problem is because it makes it so you don't have to address boss cards, right? You don't have to remove them because your deck is almost going to be guaranteed a barrier blocker. So what I would do most of the time, I would just let them go face. I would play this for just the 10k and just eat the life. If I was not in a position where I felt that was going to be the move, I just block with Boo, play this card, play a time rewound. That's a 55 combo on my barrier blocker, and I restand it with time rewound. I think the biggest problem with this card is looping it with Bulma. Again, there's going to be matchups where it's not that good, but the reason why I'm playing 4 is because if we move into a Piccolo Superhero meta and a Cell meta, then, obviously this is going to be a really powerful card. Yeah, I mean, technically it's good against Boo also, right? But they had the 4-drop that rests your energy. So, as you can tell, I'm not really playing it out to that. It's just kind of like is what it is, right? I don't really think that the 3-cost Vegeta, the common from set, I think it's from set 2, I don't really think that card's worth it to give your leader the 5k, because you can stack them, but it's like, can you really though? They're probably just going to die. Are we really going to be defending these? There's also an argument to, instead of play this card, play the 5-cost Vegeta that just freezes 2 guys. So that's also another way that you could play around Boo. But realistically, I went into building this without Majin Buu Kid or Majin Buu Evil or any of those decks in mind, because honestly, I think that Piccolo is going to mostly push those decks out of the format, and that's realistically just my opinion. But that's a little bit of a sidebar, right? I kind of went on a tangent about this, but someone asked me about this card in the comments of one of my other videos. I do think that this card's powerful, but I don't think it's like, there's ways to play around it is what I'm trying to say. And depending on what deck you're playing, right? So, 4-time rewound, again, I already talked about how really this is kind of really busted with the Boo. You block, restand, it's a 45, and then you just get a second block. So, not really a ton to talk about that. It's kind of a staple card, right? It's always been a good Yellow Vegeta card. 4 results. Again, we can just kind of move on. There's nothing really to say. It's just super powerful. 1 blue power, 1 Hellrock Shasha. This is for stuff that goes wide. I know it's a 1-of, so it's like, we're teching a 1-of for realistically what this guy loses to. But if you see it, you can just keep recycling it. And you also, like I said, you also have rewound with multiple blocks. So you honestly should get there against a lot of those decks too. And then just 2 Final Explosion, again, for decks that are trying to go wide. So, yeah, that's going to be the new Yellow SSB Vegeta deck profile for FB07. To be honest, I kind of only really been testing this evening, but like I played a handful of games with it, and I'm like, this just feels like the list. Like, this just feels incredibly strong. So I went ahead and filmed it. Maybe this deck sucks. Maybe this list is bad. Like I said, there's a couple experimental cards in it. Maybe you don't need 4 of this, but that's kind of really going to be TBD, right? It's going to depend on how the format shapes up. But walking into like a Piccolo Cell format, I mean, I feel like this is going to just kind of really carry this deck, and that could lead this guy to be like a tier 1.5 or possibly top tier contender, right? This guy does his thing, and he's really broken, and if we can push most boos out of top tier, then this guy can really capitalize on that. So, again, I have a soft spot for this deck, but man, this card can be really ignorant in some matchups. But, you know, I digress. Thanks for watching, and see you later.